U.S. intelligence agencies have not only predicted from 2017 to 18 during a threat analysis assessment that a coronavirus-like pandemic was going to happen, but now they're also saying that these pandemics are going to be more and more and more frequent as time goes on. Yay! Let's read this. U.S. intel agencies warned of rising risk of outbreak like coronavirus. Back in 2017, like I had said, they did a threat analysis, and they said that a coronavirus-like pandemic might even happen, and they even mentioned a distant cousin of the coronavirus. The U.S. intelligence community has failed to anticipate quite a few different things, from the Soviet Union being torn apart to the rise of ISIS, but they definitely did see the rise of coronavirus. For years, they've been saying that the global resources could be strained due to an increasing risk of a global pandemic, and at the same time observing that the frequency and the diversity of these global diseases and outbreaks has been rising, mostly due to the proximity of humans to animals, as humans are encroaching on animal property and spreading, but we'll get to that in a second here. The most recent worldwide threat assessment put out in January 2019 by the Office of the Director of National Intelligence contained language on global health that was more pointed than in previous years, calling attention to the risks. We assess that the United States and the world will remain vulnerable to the next flu pandemic or large-scale outbreak of a contagious disease that could lead to massive rates of death and disability, severely affect the world economy, strain international resources, and increase calls on the United States for support, it said. And of course, the whole world, including certain residents of the United States, they all hate the United States, and they all say, well, the United States isn't great. The United States isn't all that great. We're a horrible country. But yet, when shit hits the fan, everybody wants to reach out their hands to the United States and say, oh, United States, please help us. Well, is the United States great or is it not? I think it's pretty damn great. Everybody wants the United States help when shit hits the fan. Just saying, it's true. Although the international community has made tenuous improvements to global health security, the assessment continued, these gains may be inadequate to address the challenge of what we anticipate will be more frequent outbreaks of infectious diseases because of rapid unplanned urbanization, prolonged humanitarian crisis, human incursion into previously unsettled land, expansion of international travel and trade, and regional climate change. Quite a few things working against us there. And it would make sense. We have these diseases that were previously pretty much maintained within the animal kingdom. But as we encroach on their property, we're having more proximity to them, and the diseases are mutating and saying, there's a new host. And they mutate to where they can affect us. They're trying to live just like we are. One factor driving these outbreaks, the assessment concludes, is the growing proximity of humans and animals. The number of outbreaks has increased in part because pathogens originally found in animals have spread to human populations. That is exactly how the coronavirus is believed to have emerged. Yep. So far this year, the intelligence agency chiefs have not agreed to release a public worldwide threats assessment or testify in public because, officials tell NBC News, they are reluctant to discuss intelligence that might displease President Donald Trump. This robs Congress of a chance to question intelligence officials publicly about the national security and economic complications of the coronavirus outbreak. That, I believe, is probably a little bit hyperbolic. You know, if you really, really cared about the world and people and human civilization, you wouldn't be like, well, you know, we're not going to say this because it might displease this person who's in power. Okay, that's exactly why you say it. It needs to be said, and you say it. If it needs to be said, you say it. If you care about the people, you say it, regardless of who's in power. That, to me, sounds like a bit of a cop-out. I don't know. Just in the context of it, it sounds like a cop-out. U.S. intelligence agencies are playing a role in the U.S. government's response to the coronavirus outbreak, officials tell NBC News. Among their priorities is to ferret out the actual number of cases in hard-to-penetrate countries such as Iran and North Korea. And China? And China? How come you didn't mention China? What? Oh, that's right, China. China pays your bills. Doesn't it, NBC News? China pays a good majority of your bills, so you can't mention China in this. Yes, okay, I forgot. I'm sorry. My apologies, NBC News. Yes, you have your investors to please. Please continue. and to examine the effect of the outbreak on global trade and security. Examine the effect. We're seeing the effect. The stock markets are crashing. What do you mean? You're researching something that we can all plainly see. The U.S. spends more than $80 billion a year on intelligence gathering. $80 billion. Isn't that crazy? A DNI spokeswoman said she had nothing to add to President Trump's comments on coronavirus. In a news conference Wednesday, Trump said that the risk to American people is low and that the spread of the virus in the U.S. was not inevitable. Public health officials have painted a different picture. And they said, yeah, it's not a matter of if, but a matter of when. And I understand. Trump is saying this because he doesn't want to create panic, because look what happened in Italy. As soon as their officials came out and said, yeah, there's an outbreak, it's a pandemic, people raided the stores, there was panic, and that's what Trump is trying to avoid. It's not so much a question of if this will happen anymore. Dr. Nancy Monsonier, the head of the National Center for Immunization and Respiratory Disease at the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, said during a media briefing on Tuesday. But rather more of a question of exactly when this will happen and how many people in this country will have severe illness. So, they knew about it, so how come we didn't have measures in place? How come we didn't have things, how come we didn't start stocking gas masks? How come we're still reliant on China to produce gas masks? President Trump did put in an order that was an old 1950s order back during the, whichever war it was, Korean or Vietnam, I believe it was the Korean War, and it's going to force some manufacturers to produce masks and things that we might need. But if we knew about it, how come we weren't prepared for it? How come we don't even have, I don't know. Hey, all these years we've thought about it, and check it out. We have all these secret masks that we've been producing. Here you go, American people. I don't know. Anyways, that's what I got for you on this one. I love you guys. Stay informed. Stay informed. Perhaps if they'd have taken this advice and stayed informed, then we'd be better prepared. But evidently not. Intelligence agency. A bit of an oxymoron, huh? Anyways, I love you guys. I'll see you on the next one.